As we get ready to start our next unit, I wanted to give a short video to provide some background on what a case study is and how to approach the reading and writing and analysis of a case study. Several of the courses in this program require you to analyze and write up a case study. Our use of case studies is intended to introduce you to a method of analysis and writing. There are several approaches to doing case studies. They can be done in groups, with each person contributing a piece of the analysis. In our case, we're going to be doing them as individual assignments to give you the experience of getting to a deeper level of analysis than we do on our weekly discovery questions. So one of the key things to understand is, why do we use a case study method for learning? Case study method is heuristic, so it is using experience to learn and improve. We hear about somebody else's experience and what they did, and by analyzing it deeply, we learn and improve our understanding. The case method can be done as self-guided learning that introduces analysis to help draw conclusions about a particular situation. So that's really what we're going to be doing here, getting deeply involved in doing analysis about a particular situation. Examining cases can be useful for adult learners in particular because it provides context on a particular topic, so that it's not entirely theoretical and so that it applies to situations that are relevant to you and what you're doing, either in your work or what you're preparing to do in your work. So it matters to you for the work you'll be doing, and so thereby you build a deeper understanding. As you approach a case study analysis, the first thing you need to do is start by thinking. You're going to break down the case and think about it. When you begin work on a new case, you don't know what you're looking for right away. So to take an active approach to a case, start thinking before you read the case. Here are some things you might think about. What unit topic are we focusing on this week? What does the title of the case mean? Does it mean anything to you as you look at the title? Do you already know something about this topic? Those are some things that'll just get your mind going and thinking about things before you dive in. Then as you get started reading it, you'll get more into the content. You see if you can find answers to some of your questions in the case itself. And you do some research to discover answers somewhere else. So these answers can shed light on the case, they can explain the facts of the case, or eventually they can factor into your conclusions. So the research piece is very important to doing a full and deep analysis of a case. As you start finding partial answers, you'll think about how they relate to each other and then begin to get the big picture of the case. All of this is the activity of breaking down a case and thinking about it. You don't build knowledge effectively just by reading. So take an active approach, and using this kind of thought process will help you get the most benefit out of doing a case study analysis. So what is the goal of a case study analysis overall? At first that seems like a very obvious question. What goal can there be for analyzing a case other than to understand it? The problem is that's too vague. What do we mean by that? What is another way to think about this so that you really understand what the goal of the case study is? A key question that'll help you with this is to think about, how do you know when you're done with the study of a particular case? This is a very important question. If you don't have a clear goal, you won't know when you're done and when you can drift along for hours having undirected effort. So think about some more concrete goals to help you comprehensively analyze the case and meet your goal so that you know when you're done and you've done a comprehensive job. Here's 4 things to think about. Ask yourself these questions to determine if you're meeting the goal in your assignment. 1, you've become familiar with the information in the case. 2, you've come to a conclusion about the main issue in the case. 3, you have evidence showing why your conclusion is reasonable. And 4, you've thought about other possible conclusions and why your conclusion is better than those possible conclusions. I've seen many case study assignments that focus only on the first one of these goals. They are familiar with the information in the case, and then it doesn't get too far beyond that. Sometimes these assignments don't really draw a conclusion. They may have evidence, but they don't link it back to why the evidence supports the conclusion. So that's very important. We have 1,000 words in this assignment, so use them to tell us explicitly why the evidence supports your conclusion. Don't leave it up to the reader to figure that out. State it very explicitly as an attorney would do making a final statement in the courtroom. They don't just leave it up to the jury to figure it out, they spell it out for them. Also, I often see that case study assignments don't look too deeply at any other possible conclusions. It's a good idea to say something about other possibilities and to use that as an opportunity to refute or challenge other conclusions and show why your conclusion is the best conclusion. So these are the main areas where I see a lot of case studies falling short, and it's very helpful, I think, to remember the 4-part goal as a good way to determine when you've completely analyzed the case, and that's our goal for this assignment. So to summarize, make sure you're doing 2 things when you do your case study analysis this week. 1, start off by thinking about the case, and this means breaking it apart by asking questions, looking for answers, doing some research, and then seeing how all the pieces start to fit together. And 2, make sure you meet the 4-part goal of case analysis. 1, are you familiar with the facts of the case? 2, have you reached a conclusion about the main issue? 3, do you have evidence showing why your conclusion is reasonable? And 4, have you thought about other possible conclusions and why yours is preferable to them? So, these 2 steps should help you to build skills of analysis and critical thinking using the case study method. In my opinion, case studies are the most challenging types of assignments since you're on your own without the benefit of input from your peers, as you usually get during discussion. So we want to provide enough guidance to get you started and make your end product contain all of the essential elements. However, part of the challenge is for you to write a case study where you structure your information so that it builds a strong argument for your position. That's part of it, structuring your information. So for this reason, we don't give you an exact recipe to follow. That's part of the assignment. In addition to our work for this unit, our long-term goal is to give you a writing exercise that can help build your skills so that when you need to get to the end of your program and you're going to be doing your capstone project, this should help you to do a good job with that type of a writing exercise too. So I hope you found the case study to be a good way to get to a deep level of analysis on this topic. And I hope you find these to be useful tips to help guide your way as you're doing the assignment this week. Enjoy the week.